When lies cost everything. In a quiet little village named Oakford, tucked between the hills and a thick forest, there lived a 12-year-old boy named Jack. Oakford was the kind of place where time moved slowly, where neighbors helped each other with open hearts, and children played in the meadows until the sun dipped below the trees. The houses in Oakford were made of old stones, their roofs sloped with red tiles and chimneys that puffed out smoke smelling of firewood and fresh bread. The roads were narrow, more dirt than gravel, and every path led either to someone's home or to the wide-open fields that bordered the woods. The villagers were simple folks. They rose with the sun, worked hard all day, and went to bed under starlit skies. It was a peaceful place, but peace doesn't always sit well with everyone, especially not with a boy like Jack. Jack lived at the edge of the village in a modest cottage with his grandfather named Thomas, a weathered man with strong arms, soft eyes, and a face carved by years of wind and work. Thomas had once been the village's most respected shepherd, and now that age had slowed his step. He had passed the duty on to Jack. Every morning, just after the dew had kissed the grass, Jack would take his wooden staff, whistle for his little dog Bruno, and guide a flock of 32 sheep up the rolling hills that overlooked Oakford. The hill was quiet, with a single oak tree standing guard at the top, and from there, Jack would sit and watch the sheep graze while Bruno chased butterflies and occasionally barked at the clouds. At first, Jack liked the job. He liked the cool morning air, the songs of the birds, and the gentle sway of the grass. But soon, the days began to blur together. The sheep never did anything interesting. They just grazed and wandered. Bruno was fun, but he couldn't talk back. And while the hill offered a beautiful view, Jack had seen it 100 times. He wanted something more, something exciting. One morning, as Jack sat scratching shapes into the dirt with a stick, an idea began to form in his mind. It started as a whisper, then turned into a grin. He remembered the old stories his grandfather used to tell him. Stories of wild bears roaming the woods, big brown beasts with fierce eyes and sharp claws. No one had seen a bear in years. Some of the younger villagers weren't even sure they existed anymore. What if he made them believe one had returned? Jack stood up and looked toward the village. Then he cupped his hands around his mouth and yelled, "Bear! Bear! There's a bear in the field! Help! Help!" The sound echoed off the trees and drifted down into Oakford. Within minutes, Jack saw people rushing up the hill. Mr. Hawkins the blacksmith came running with a hammer. Martha the baker's wife ran in her apron, dusted with flour. Peter, the old carpenter, hobbled up with his walking stick. And at the back, a worried-looking Thomas climbed the hill as fast as his legs would allow. They all arrived breathless and wide-eyed. "Where is it?" Mr. Hawkins shouted. "Where's the bear?" Jack burst into laughter. "There is no bear. I was just bored. I wanted to see if you'd come." Silence fell. It wasn't the kind of silence that comes from peace. It was the kind that comes from disappointment. Thomas's face turned stern. "Jack, this isn't a game. You scared people." Mr. Hawkins muttered something under his breath. Martha turned and walked away. Peter shook his head. Jack's laughter faded. "I was just joking," he said, but no one responded. They walked back down the hill, their backs stiff and silent. The next day, no one mentioned the prank, but Jack could feel it. The way people looked at him. The way they didn't. Still, boredom crept back like a slow shadow. A week passed. The grass grew taller. The sheep grazed lazily. Bruno chased butterflies. Jack tried to enjoy the quiet, but the thrill of the last prank lingered in his mind. He waited a few more days before trying again. Bear! It's back! A huge bear! Help! This time, fewer people came. Mr. Hawkins arrived with a scowl. Martha came, but didn't speak. Thomas came, his eyes full of worry. Again, Jack laughed. Still no bear. Just kidding. Mr. Hawkins lost his temper. You think this is a joke? We left our work, our homes, for this. Martha spoke too, her voice sharp. If there ever is a bear, don't expect us to come running. Thomas didn't say a word. He just looked at Jack for a long moment and then turned away. That night, the house was quiet. Jack poked at his stew with his spoon. It tasted like ash. Thomas didn't speak during dinner, and Bruno lay under the table, unmoving. Days turned to weeks. The villagers didn't wave at Jack anymore. Some crossed the road when they saw him. The warmth of Oakford felt colder than usual. Then, one afternoon, as Jack sat under the old oak, the air changed. Bruno was lying beside him, suddenly growled. His ears perked. The hairs on his back stood up. What is it, boy? Jack asked, sitting up. From the edge of the woods, something moved, slowly, heavily. A bear. Not just any bear. A massive, wild, shaggy creature with dark fur and yellow eyes. It stepped out of the trees, sniffing the air, then let out a low, rumbling growl. Jack's blood turned to ice. The bear lumbered toward the flock. The sheep bleated in panic. Bruno barked and barked. Jack screamed. Bear! Bear! Help! It's real this time. Please, somebody help! He ran down the hill, shouting, waving his arms. He reached the village. Help! There's a bear! It's killing the sheep. Please! But doors stayed closed. Windows stayed shut. Mrs. Harriet opened her door a crack. Not again, Jack. We're done with your games. I am not lying, I swear. She closed the door. He ran to another house. Mr. Hawkins, please, it's real. No response. Tears welled in Jack's eyes. Please believe me. Finally, he found his grandfather at the well. Grandpa, please, there's a real bear. I'm not lying. Thomas looked into Jack's eyes, and this time he saw the fear, the honesty. Without a word, Thomas grabbed his axe. Together, they ran. Others followed. Something in the air felt different. When they reached the hill, the damage was done. Several sheep lay on the grass and bloodied. The bear was gone, a dark shadow disappearing into the woods. Jack collapsed beside the fallen sheep. I called. I shouted. No one believed me. Thomas sat beside him. Because you broke their trust. Trust is not easy to fix. The villagers stood in silence. The cost of one boy's lie had come to life. That night, no one celebrated. There was no bread shared and no stories told. Jack sat alone outside and watched the stars. Bruno curled at his feet. In the morning, Jack stood in the village square. The people gathered. He looked down, then up. I'm sorry, he said. I thought it was harmless fun. But it wasn't. I understand now. I broke your trust. I don't expect you to forgive me right away, but I will earn it, one day at a time. And he did. Jack worked harder. He helped the elderly. He mended fences. He delivered bread. He spoke kindly and worked quietly. Days passed, then weeks. Slowly, the villagers thawed. A nod here, a loaf of bread there, a smile. Years later, Jack became the village's most trusted shepherd. Children followed him and listened to his stories, and every story ended with the same words. Truth is not a toy. Use it wisely. One day, you might need it, and no one will listen. Oakford remembered the boy who cried bear. But more importantly, they remembered the boy who learned to tell the truth. Thanks for watching! If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more heart-touching, real-life inspired tales, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a story. Your support means the world, and I'll see you in the next one.